Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
You gonna say it?
Take two.
That's it. Yeah, we were just getting started in this video, and this is the second time in about 3 days where in the middle of a video, the power goes out. And we found out that the power was out in the entire town. Last time we did it with the video, I wouldn't doubt that the power is out. It was out again in the whole town. And unfortunately, we feel like it's probably because of the video that we were making. So, yes, this video is very important, and it is stuff that we've touched on the past. But again, putting pieces together for people and getting people to see things perhaps in an all-new way can really be enlightening.
You know, the information that comes forward comes to us in different ways because we all have different perspectives on everything. So getting information out there in new ways helps people understand really what is going on in this world.
Yes. And again, so please do subscribe. And thank you guys that are part of the family and subscribe to both channels with the little bell clicked. Please do check in daily. There should be a video up, at least one video a day, pretty much about 360 days of the year. We're putting most of it up on EEARTS. And again, Evolutionary has been with us since 2017. Just prior to the eclipse, actually, that happened in 2017. And then we had 3 hurricanes shortly thereafter that really were a welcome to the tribulation, let's just say. Yes. So we do want to thank our Patreons, too, because we couldn't do it without your support in these times of demonization, and also on Ko-Fi, where you could do a one-time help of the channel, or you could do monthly, just like you could do on Patreon. And all the videos get posted on both of those channels. So I've talked about, and Cindy and I have talked about, Washington's vision many times. Washington had a vision, as I'm waiting for the power to go out again when we get to a certain point in time. Washington had a vision at Valley Forge. And this is when it was the deep, dark part of winter, and it wasn't looking good, according to the historians, for Washington and the revolutionaries. And perhaps his faith was wavering a little bit in success, perhaps. So he is said to have this vision as he's deep in prayer. And it's taken to be the angel Liberty coming in and visiting. Some people think it was a vision of Mother Mary, but we'll get into that as well. What he saw was 3 trials and tribulations. The angel told him, and again, angel means messenger. That's really what it means. And again, we have truly angelic beings. Angels are real, and yet there are many beings that are attributed to being angels that are not angels, per se. So when we think of an angel, we think of a non-physical being that's up in the higher densities. That is watching over humanity, helping to guide, helping maybe to, stop some horrible accidents by giving you that little intuition. Don't turn left today, turn right, or, wait, slow down, don't speed through that light turning. Those type of things, those like guardian angel type of things that we attribute to them. And yet there are beings that have been taken to be angels that are extraterrestrials completely. And in some cases, not really benevolent. But what the angel said to him was, don't worry, you're going to win the war. But the United States is going to be tested in a civil war, brother against brother. It's going to have something to do with slavery as one of the main topics. And then there's going to be also an invasion of the United States by outside forces. But don't worry, hang on, because it's going to look like you're going to be defeated, but the United States will prevail. So the fascinating thing with this vision is the details and, the fact that the Civil War did come to pass. Now, this is supposed to be at Valley Forge. So, this is basically before the country is even, truly a country yet. And this person has the wars wrong. There'll be 5 wars. 4 have already happened, but the 5th would be most terrible, World War III. And, really there's three trials, 3 tribulations for the country that it speaks of. But this person is talking about this being a Marian apparition, a woman of singular beauty. A beautiful Nordic-looking woman came to him and gave him this vision. At least that's what we're told. Now, this is where we start to get into the part that caused the power to go out. As you see, this person says Pleadians are not Nordic aliens. This isn't their standard form. Well, the ones that we interact with in the Galactic Federation are 5th density beings. They're not 3rd density beings. However, there are what Cindy's gotten used to calling the fallen Pleiadians. And really, these are the ones that have succumbed to AI. They have succumbed to the Draco Anunnaki. Well, actually, the Anunnaki themselves have succumbed to the Draco AI forces. This is an intergalactic, interdimensional war that is on a very big level. When we talk about Pleiadians, the Pleiades is not where they come from. Originally, humanity, as far as we know, originated in the Lyran star system. And in Lyra, those wars were so horrible that entire planets were destroyed. Entire planets. Very much when we see, like Star Wars, when you see that Star Killer base and the Death Star, things like that, that technology really does exist. And it has been used to wipe out entire planets and cause, talk about migrations. When we see the migrant and illegal immigration problem on Earth, as above, so below. This is just a reflection to what's going on in a galactic sense. So, yeah, Pleiadians, well, there are many humans in the Pleiades now, but they're refugees. They're refugees from the Lyran wars. These wars are much bigger than most people realize. When we talk about this is a spiritual battle, spiritual warfare, that means interdimensional warfare. It's, again, part of the compartmentalization of humanity. So you have these people that understand how the left is tearing apart the foundation of everything that's been built upon as far as this United States and Western culture, Western society, with, everything that's deteriorating, which is all part of a plan. But then on the right, many of them are compartmentalized in their thinking and can't see past the Abrahamic tradition. Everything is, well, we live in a bubble, the earth is flat, and everything is angels and demons. No, there is no life anywhere else. God is up there somewhere watching us right now. And it's like, hello, we need to get with the times and understand what's really going on here. You're in the middle of an intergalactic, interdimensional war that is mammoth in scope.
And your higher self, your guides, angels, they're definitely trying to make a breakthrough and get your attention so that they can lead you or give you that magnetic feeling of what you need to do, where you need to go. Everyone needs different things. All of us have different priorities. So there's just no one size fits all. But if you are in touch with your higher self, guides, angels, you can definitely feel that tug, feel that pull, and know where you're supposed to be, where you're supposed to go, because it's going to get chaotic. There's going to be, and there has to be chaos for things to change. That's a part where things can get scary and can get yucky, is the chaos needs to come for things to change. And when they do, that's our opportunity to find our place in this world and get out of that beast system.
The ones that helped Hitler and the ones that are helping our government right now. It's not the grays. There's different classifications. There's many different grays, and some grays are completely AI driven and don't really have much of a biological component to them. Others are hybrids. Some are short, some are tall. There's all different types. But again, the grays are mostly worker bees who answer to what do look like these Nordic beings. And now the Nordic beings themselves, as we were saying, Cindy often refers to them when we're having conversation as, well, that's the fallen Pleadians again. And that's just a term that we've used. But what it denotes is that these are beings that succumbed to the AI. And just like we have the controllers on Earth right now, you can't say every human is malevolent. You can't say every human is benevolent. It's the same thing with all these different races. Some individuals we can look at and say that's a pretty damn malevolent person. And others you could say that's a pretty beautiful, benevolent person. They're all, again, individuals, just like we are individuals. But the Draco AI component of this is the ones that gave Hitler the technology to make the flying saucers. And you had the Snowden documents just talking openly about this U.S. alien Hitler link and verifying all this. But we could see the declassified documents. We could see the diagrams. And again, the Nazis did make the flying saucers. And, when we saw Washington buzzed, when we saw the Battle of L.A., a lot of these instances, it was the Antarctic-based Nazis. As the Nazis didn't really lose the war. Germany, Italy, and Japan lost the war, but not really the Nazis. And then we had Operation Paperclip, taking these top scientists that did a lot of atrocious things, but also developed a lot of high-tech weaponry into the United States and into Russia, well, Soviet Union at that time. And so the two most powerful nations ended up having the same influences within them that influenced the Nazis in the first place. So going back to Washington's vision, so again, my point was that, that was not Mary. That was not a Marian visitation. Mary, both Marys, Mother Mary and then Mary, who was the spouse of Yeshua, the being upon which a good chunk of the Jesus mythology has been built, because there was a real person. But again, it's only obvious that the controllers are going to take this story because they're in control of the history. History is written by the victors. Should be pretty obvious to people that the number one most published book in the world of all time is going to be their story. I mean, how could that not be so obvious? How could you think that would not be tainted? And everything else is tainted. I mean, that just, again, it's just conditioning. It's fear-based indoctrination. It's many times people brought up with fear of the belt, fear of the hand, fear of go to bed without dinner because you got out of the line. This is how people get traumatized and are flinching because they better not say something against their parents. They better not say something against the belief system that they've been brought up with. And when we look to Islam, literally means to submit to what? To the will of Allah. And there you could get beheaded in certain countries if you say anything against the belief system. This is completely the controller system. So if we're still looking at all these beings as angels or demons, you have your head in the dark. You're missing the whole point. And that's the point of giving us these religious systems that keep us in the dark and keep us compartmentalized. You're going to be waiting for the return of Yeshua in a physical sense that's never going to happen. And they know that. But they could also pull out a counterfeit anytime because you're waiting for Yeshua. So, again, when you see a Pleiadian that we might call a fallen Pleiadian, or a fallen Lyran, or just somebody that basically has become a prisoner of war to the enemy camp, and they roll him out as the savior, people will believe it.
But you know what is true, though, is there is the Christ consciousness. It's a vibration, it's a frequency where people are more enlightened. We're literally moving into the photon belt where we get more light. And when we have more light, we have more information to go on. So that is something that is true. So when they just twist it a little bit when they say the return of Yeshua, or you might know him as Jesus. He's not coming in that physical sense, but that frequency in which he carries is moving in on all of us. And that's something that we can all understand and accept and adjust with and actually look forward to. But remember, these people are so twisted. They take a child's trust and a child's understanding and a child's clear, clean heart and say, if you don't believe what is in this Bible right here in front of you, you are going to burn in a lake of hell forever. How could you do that to a child? That is so wrong, and that's just not the way things are.
Absolutely. And so, this is the part in which the power went out last time. When we look to Joseph Smith, for instance, who is the founder of Mormonism, he had a vision. He had a visit from the angel Moroni, and this is where we get the whole Mormon thing. As you can see, he's visited by an angel that, once again, tends to look kind of Pleiadian, very tall. There are benevolent beings too. We have had encounters again with beings of many different many different persuasions, yes, and many different dimensional, I guess you would say, vibrational frequencies. And you could tell when you have, develop the senses, you can just tell them by their frequency. Their frequency is a calling card. So Joseph Smith, who is a 33rd degree Mason, Washington, 33rd degree Mason, visions of, the same sort of beings. These are the beings. These are the same beings that basically worked with Hitler.
And they've been running the show the entire time, and that's the hard part, getting this across to people, because at such a young age, people that they love and they trust and they admire have been telling them that this Bible speaks the truth. And why wouldn't you believe what those who say that they love you, why wouldn't you believe what they say and take it to heart and have complete loyalty in it?
And this is Charles Taze Russell. The Russell family is part of that group that starts with an I and ends with an I. It's part of that group, and also a 33rd degree Mason, and also the founder of the Jehovah's Witnesses. They give us our belief systems. Now, this doesn't mean that there's not a God. Yes, there is a creator of this universe. There is one source from which everything comes. They just take a truth and they distort it. And again, how many times have they said the world's going to end and the second coming is upon us, time and time again? And again, you see these schisms and these breakouts. It's because, again, it's a distortion. There's all these distortions. So when we look at Washington's vision, for nearly 150 years, the story has been circulating that George Washington had a vision. Now, this is from somebody's research. Had a vision of the future of America while the troops were encamped in Valley Forge in 1777. This person first encountered the story when their mother showed him a tract about it published by the Russian Bible Society in the 50s. Since then, been able to trace it back to a pamphlet published in 1864, which was republished several times. Here you see the National Tribune. This is in 1880. So, that is actually something that's Civil War era when we look at 1864. Washington is visited in his tent by a mysterious ethereal woman who shows him a vision of three perils that sketch the future of the United States. Peril 1 is the American Revolution. Peril 2 is the Civil War. Peril 3 is an invasion that nearly destroys the country. And, so it's interesting to see that, because The third echoes a vision given to many other people in modern times as well. There have been many seers that see the same thing. They see the U.S. attacked along the coastlines. And then everything has been telegraphed. We know about these hypersonic missiles. We know about tsunami bombs. This is all what, they're telling us what they're going to do way ahead of time. And it goes in line with the visions so clearly. Subs, perhaps, that we don't even see, just all of a sudden releasing their missiles and causing devastation, mostly along the coastlines, and in a limited targeted manner as well. It's not complete nuclear annihilation. Again, there are different timelines that can be altered all the time. So again, Washington's vision back then was given to him, from what we gather, and what we've gotten from our guides, by these quote-unquote fallen Pleadians, so to speak. And it was part of, a self-fulfilling prophecy, because again, they want to give an outline of their plan. They want us to reaffirm their plan by us thinking that that's going to happen. So some will say, well, then why are you telling people about it? Because you're going to help it come about. Because everybody that we wake up to this, the fact that you're being manipulated into making this a reality, is one more person that could put a different view out there for our future.
Right. This is information that's in the mainstream. This is what they want people to run across. So unless and until we bring it about and help people understand, look, we can bring about a different reality. We can bring about some change that doesn't have to be so catastrophic. And that's why we have to come to the point and meet people where they are.
And here's 2 basic articles. I'll give you guys the links as always. Where you can actually read, into it and feel what you want to feel. I have done probably 6 videos over about 6 years now, talking about this, and here's a couple of them. This one was from December 30th, 2020. Is Washington's vision of an invasion of the U.S. imminent? And this one in 2021, about a year later, hang on tight, the transformation of the USA, the 2022 through 2024 Pluto transit, and then going into the Hopi and the Washington and the Albert Pike prophecies. Because Albert Pike, again, another 33rd degree Mason that spoke of 3 world wars that were planned. And, okay. The Hopi prophecies. And this one is talking about how the Hopi prophecies are coming true. And this is why you should pay attention. This is from a year ago, a little over a year ago. The Hopi prophecies say the same thing. The U.S. is going to be basically blasted by missiles, bombs, and that one of the only safe places is going to be the Four Corners area in New Mexico. And that they give a lot of detail, a lot of interesting detail that people take as being everything from the beginning, with covered wagons and then laying down train tracks and trains crisscrossing the country, and then telegraph, and then even chemtrails. I mean, there's so much detail that's given in the Hopi prophecies that it's really, really pretty amazing. But they do say the U.S. is going to be attacked by the countries that first received the ancient wisdom, which many take to be China, perhaps even India, and also many of the countries of the Middle East, the Islamic nations. They do speak of, and you see in the swastika there, they do speak of 2 paths that we can basically take. One path leads to destruction. The other path leads to peace. The path that leads to destruction will eventually get us to a point of a restart anyway. But we would like to avoid the destruction, obviously. So 2 paths, destruction or survival. And it's a very, very clear, very, very detailed vision. It's not something so vague as wars, the rumors of wars, which we've given you listings, and you could do a little wiki, and you'll find that there's never a time when there's not a war going on planet Earth in the last 6,000 years. So there's always wars and rumors of wars. That's no big deal. We understand that. And yet here there's so many more details. Again, it's pretty amazing to see the details that are given. The thing to take from this, though, is that there's going to be people that arise from after all this takes place. And again, the hope is changing timelines. Change timelines. It's so imperative. And that can only be done by awakening the masses. They say those that return to the ways given to us in the original teachings. Now, those original teachings that they're talking about is what terrifies so many fundamentalists and can be compartmentalized into one term that has been distorted and given a bad energy, quote unquote, New Age teachings such as God is within you. You don't have to, look anywhere for God because the true God is within all of us. And treating the earth as our mother, treating everything that's upon the earth as our brothers and sisters, be it, fish, fowl, or animal. These are just basic belief sets. Everything is interconnected. There is the web of life. These are basically golden age teachings that as we go down into the dark age and these dark powers take over, everything becomes about division. It becomes a Darwinian evolution where it's survival of the fittest by pitting us against each other constantly. Whereas this is not the message of the Golden Age. The Golden Age is the message of cooperation, of recognizing we're all part in something much bigger. And as such, we need to not war, but quite the opposite. We need to come together and find peace and harmony. And it does talk about the blue kachina, which takes off its mask. And so there are the ceremonies of the Hopi that they say when the ceremonies stop, then, we're in for the troubled times. As many things that we do in the Golden Age, we don't do in this age. And in fact, in this age, those things are taught to be evil by the controllers. Things like developing your intuition. The thought that tarot cards are evil. Oh, why are they evil? They're just pictures that you can tap into to maybe understand archetypal energies. Maybe they will give you some inspiration. No, it's because you're a slave race. This is what the controllers teach us. Any belief system that teaches that we are slaves is a controller belief system. So when you look at the whole concept of original sin, what happened? You disobeyed God. Well, you didn't disobey the true creator of this universe. You disobeyed the slave master. So you will be punished. It's just the controller-based system and their way of doing things. But all that gets washed away. It's going to get washed away. And again, the coming of the purifier, we know the big purifier is going to be the solar flash that comes. And that is going to be an energy that will be intolerable to these beings. They will not be able to handle that energy. And so there is a great separation that's coming between those that are on the ascending path and those that are on the descending path.
Mm-hmm. And let's not forget astrology too, because astrology is something where you can you can make predictions, and they claim that to be evil too. That's that's evil too. Yet they use it. The entire Washington D.C. the first brick was laid based on Vedic astrology. And you can find information that's very, very important and pertinent to your life, medical information, information as far as when is it safe to do this or when is a good time to do that. Things that can really benefit you in so many ways you can find in astrology. And they try to demonize that too, yet they use it themselves.
Absolutely. And this is why we had, basically the witch hunts. Again, this is why we had the Western system colonize the Americas and wipe out 90-something% of the indigenous people that were in tune with the earth, that remembered the ancient ways, to remember the golden age teachings, because it's their attempt to wipe out anything that comes from that age and just basically leave what has been given to us by the controllers in this dark age. So in many ways, it's really kind of very, very ironic that we have that which we would term Satan or the devil giving us, basically the teachings of Satan and the devil as the teachings of God, source. Mm-hmm. But it only makes sense that if Satan controls the world, then Satan is going to be giving us every single widely published, document, such as when we look to the number 1 and the number 3 published books of all time, they're the Bible and the Quran. So again, they're distorted and written by the victors, because again, the victors write history. Well, they wrote those. So yeah, there is some truth in them, but there's more distortion in them that's going to lead to misunderstanding. Yet in the Hopi prophecy, we see that it's going to be people out of every race, country, nationality, and creed that basically discard the dark age ways of doing things and come together. So when the earth is ravaged and the animals are dying, a new tribe of people shall come unto the earth from many colors, classes, creeds, and who by their actions and deeds shall make the earth green again. They will be known as the warriors of the rainbow, and not the rainbow power that is being pushed again by the controllers, because again, the controllers always distort everything. Everything is a distortion. It's all a distortion. And so we're going to just touch on this and give you guys the maps. This is something that popped up today on Zero Hedge. Best places to survive a nuclear apocalypse in the U.S. So you have Biden's nuclear Armageddon statements and reports. And of course, we know they bought $290 million in anti-radiation drugs, which they're more than that. They're anti-something else. Again, it's all about, there's always more than one thing going on when you look at it. And when we talked about the plague upon the land and the cure for the plague upon the land, this particular substance is actually connected, and this is part of the bigger picture that's underway. And again, the thing I want to get across, and I think what we'll do is we'll hold off on this one. We'll do this one as a separate video, because this video is going to be about 35 minutes long, and attention spans and time allowance. So we'll do it in 2 videos. The thing to take away is the fact that if we're still looking at this as this is basically anything but an intergalactic, interdimensional battle, we're missing the bigger picture here. Earth is just one little outpost on this battle. One tiny, tiny little outpost. This battle is raging in more places, on more different densities, in more ways than humanity realizes, and it's enormous. We find ourselves, so to speak, behind enemy lines. Those that are awakened, those that know, and many of the Starseeds light workers that have incarnated here, because that's what their higher self wanted to do, was to free the minds of this planet. Free the minds, and thus free the souls in many ways of those that are on this planet that are truly naive and innocent and don't understand the bigger picture. So many of you out there that are listening to this, you understand how this has this ringing true, because you know it to be true. You've had incarnations in other places. Perhaps you're able to remember some of your incarnations on other planets. And so you know that this is true. There's certain things that just never rang true to me when it came to the biblical point of view, and it always felt like a total lie and distortion. And that's because it is. Again, it's given to us by Satan, which literally means the adversary. And again, to the victor goes the history. So again, it's pretty obvious who is giving us the most first and third most popular books ever published. And by the way, the second is Mao's works.
And it takes time to find the truth for yourself. That's key. You got to find it for yourself. Give yourself that time. So best get started. They got a lot of information to go through to make sure you're in a place to help other people, lead other people down that awakened path.
As always, may you be blessed by the true creator of this universe and also by the benevolent beings. Much love. Namaste.
Namaste.